Thank you. I want to spend 7 minutes just talking about a key part of the future of the wealth management industry, and that's the industry that gets paid for looking after other people's money, and some of that money might be your money, so it might be worth listening. Our industry today is under considerable pressure from a number of forces, but primarily regulators that are insisting on increased process and discipline in the way people's money is managed. And secondly, the consumer itself that is asking, in an era of the iPhone, more information. I want to see more information about my investments. I want to analyse, scrutinise that information and form my own views as to the value that the wealth management industry or firms are providing me, perhaps even contemplating the justification of the fees that I'm paying in a very transparent industry post-RDR today. And we believe, because of these pressures, that the future of the industry is about mass-tailored investment solutions, or specifically what we call mass-customised investment portfolios. And because of the complexity involved in doing this, it requires technology. And we've been working for 10 years now on techniques and technology to help wealth management firms deliver mass-customised solutions. Essentially, because of the complexity, we think it needs to be very visual to be comprehensible, and we think it looks like something like this. And this, in the first instance, is what we call a heat map. And this is typically used in a wealth management firm to allow anybody in the firm to get a visual representation of the state of compliance of all the portfolios in the firm. Essentially, each box in this heat map represents an individual client portfolio. The size of the portfolio is, the size of the box is proportional to the size of the portfolio, which is often indicative of the relative value of the client to the firm. And the colour of the box is set by a continual set of processes that are operating in the cloud 24/7, monitoring the status of the portfolio against its individual client mandate. We might want to look at this in a bit more detail. If we look at our most important client, Abby Jones here, she's got an orange square, which is indicating that her portfolio has deviated from the agreed mandate that she had with the advisor. These donuts here represent the constitution of the portfolio as it stands today in the middle, and on the outer ring that represents the target constitution that would give it a green light in the heat map. We can see that compared to any model portfolios that Abby's tracking, she's underweight certain investments and overweight others. Perhaps the research manager just had a change of view. Perhaps we want to look into a bit more detail about Abby's particular circumstances. We can see that she's tracking a certain model portfolio, but we can also see that she's agreed with her wealth advisor that this portfolio should be managed in a certain way. She's got some very specific rules about capital gains that she doesn't want for the rest of the year, the sizes of trading, and even particular investments that she likes or dislikes that she wants the wealth manager to accommodate. Now, if we put ourselves in the role of the wealth manager, the portfolio manager now, we have a duty of care to bring Abby's portfolio into a more compliant state, essentially bring it back to being a green light. Now, we find that on average across the industry, to do a personalised portfolio review, perhaps across many tax wrappers, with all the individual clients' rules, preferences and constraints, takes between 2 to 4 hours. With financial simplicity, at that click of a button, within a second it will compute a result that will bring Abby's portfolio, no matter how complicated, back into a green state. We can see that visualised here with all the supporting information if we need to explore it in any more detail. And essentially that sort of responsiveness to changing market situations, to be able to say to Abby, we're doing you an increased level of service, that responsiveness has helped our clients increase their client take-up by about 80%. It's helped them reduce the time, effort and cost to manage portfolios by somewhere up to 90%. And as you can imagine, with this visualised representation, there's no excuse for 100% reduction in breaches of compliance of individual portfolios against their mandates. As much of the industry today is seeking to move to what's called a discretionary model, which is really a relationship between the wealth management firm and the client to allow the wealth management firm to effect these adjustments without the client's specific approval. This requires a considerable amount of trust, and increasingly wealth management firms are going to have to do this on a better, systemised way in order to retain the trust of their clients in operating these portfolios. With financial simplicity, it's a click of a button to identify all the portfolios, essentially the red and the orange ones that have deviated from their mandates, so that we might want to apply some adjustment to. Essentially, in a matter of seconds, saving those 2 to 4 hours often each time, it will go away and compute for every individual client portfolio. We can see a summary of all the buys and the sells to bring these portfolios back into line. We can see all the specific calculated orders that, if effective, will bring these portfolios back into a green state. And we can see also the very notable, important client-driven exceptions according to the way that they wanted their portfolio managed. Now, typically in a wealth management firm, somebody is charged with actually effecting these orders into the marketplace. I don't actually have a live marketplace here to do that with, so what I'm going to do is just hit this button, which is going to simulate essentially the effecting all of those portfolio adjustments into the market and see what happens to these portfolios. If we essentially return to our heat map and refresh it now, essentially, and this might be something that happens the next day in the firm, we can see that literally we've removed all the portfolio statuses that have deviated from their mandates and turned them into a green status. Essentially, we think this is process excellence with visual representation. If there's any wealth management firms in the audience today that think this might be of benefit to them, I'd be delighted to talk to you. But also from a technology perspective, we have a unique program that allows us to embed technology into other people's technologies or investment platforms as well. For investment firms in the audience as well, I don't mind sharing you that after this 10 years of preparation, we're looking for growth capital to take advantage of this opportunity to meet our preparation with the regulatory and consumer changes that are happening in the world today. Thank you very much.